Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're watching this for the first time, my name is Kunal, and on this channel I share with you strategies relating to language acquisition. In this video, I'd like to take the time off to talk about a great product which is no longer available on the market when it comes to language acquisition, and this product was sold by a company called Glossika. For those of you who may not know, Glossika is a company that creates online products and services relating to language acquisition, and its founder is Mike Campbell. I won't go into the history of the company and its founder because that's not the objective of this video. But in this video, I do want to talk about a product that Glossika had put out quite a while ago but is no longer available. Now, why am I talking about a product that's no longer available? Well, I want to talk about its relevance and how it is extremely intense but useful. So, Mike Campbell released via his company Glossika this product. It was called the GMS method. Now, GMS stands for gross, wait, Glossika mass sentence. I guess that's what it stood for. I might be wrong, but it was a mass sentence method that built on a system called sentence mining. Now, what on earth is sentence mining? Basically, it is a technique to become fluent in a certain language and acquire its grammar on a subconscious level. For example, instead of giving you rules of, let's say, the past tense in a language, there would be 10 sentences in your native language along with the equivalent translations in the language you are trying to acquire, the target language. So instead of trying to memorize the rules of grammar, what the GMS method did was it built into its sentences the grammar structures, and how you acquired them was through listening and translation. Now, you could say that in a certain way, Glossika GMS the method resembled a bit of the Michel Thomas method. For those of you who don't know what the Michel Thomas method is, you can look that up in Google. So basically, what GMS consisted of were 3000 sentences in total, and they were broken up into chunks. So each chunk was 50 sentences long. Now you had a PDF of these 50 sentences. So let's say you were learning German. So you would have a sentence in English at first, and below that you would have its translation or its equivalent in German. Now, what is important here is that the translation was chosen carefully. It was not just a word for word translation, it was a translation of the meaning itself. So if you were to translate the words literally, there's a chance that it may not translate exactly to that, but the meaning was conveyed. Now there are different ways of saying different things in a certain language. So what Glossika did through its GMS product was to keep that in mind while framing the sentences. So you had, I believe, 3 PDFs if I'm not wrong, and there was a total of 3000 sentences across these 3 PDFs, and each audio recording was broken into 50 sentences each. I'm talking about the GMS A files. So I believe there was GMS A, B and C. The most important of that was the GMS A file, which was a recording of a sentence in your native language along with its equivalent translation in your target language. The translation was reiterated twice. So for example, the first sentence was in English, you would hear the equivalent translation in German twice, and there would be a pause. Now what does this pause account for, or what is the purpose of this pause? So the purpose of the pause was for you to repeat the sentence. Now when Mike released this product, he gave clear instructions on how the product was to be used in his PDF. So, what he told you for the GMS method was you needed to first listen to all 3000 sentences at one go if possible. Each recording was an average of 10 to 15 minutes depending on the sentences and their length. And his suggestion was to first listen to all of those recordings at one go. After you were done with that, you needed to start again from the first recording. And here's what you needed to do: you needed to listen to the sentence in English, and there would be a certain pause before the German sentence was played. So within that pause, you had to speak the German translation, you had to say the German translation, and then you would hear the recording of the German translation of the English sentence, and you needed to verify if you were right or not. Now you had access to the audio, and in the PDF you had access to the sentence, so you could check both your pronunciation and your spelling. So once you were done listening to all recordings at one go, you needed to start from the beginning, and this time you needed to check whether you were getting the translations right. So you would listen to the recording, then within that space you needed to guess what the translation was, and you needed to hear the translation and then check whether you got that right or wrong. As I said, each recording had 50 sentences. So if you were to start listening and you were to start checking how many you got right, you would listen to a recording, you would wait for the pause before the equivalent translation in your target language, and once you heard the translation, you would check whether you got it right or wrong. Now the idea here was to ingrain in you the knowledge of the language you're trying to acquire. So what Mike suggested was that you master certain number of sentences before moving on to the next set of sentences. So if you were to learn sentences 1 to 50, it would be recommended that you do not move on to sentences 51 to 100 until and unless you got the translation right of every sentence that you listen to from sentences 1 to 50. So the idea was to progressively master a total of 3000 sentences, and within those 3000 sentences, what Mike tried to do was incorporate the rules of grammar in a progressive manner. So things got progressively hard as you went up the sentence ladder. So from 1 to 51 there would be certain set of grammar rules, from 51 to 100 there would be a certain set of grammar rules, so on and so forth. So this was the idea of the product release, which was called the GMS method, and the most important file in that was GMS file A. Now there were files B and C also. I'm not sure. File B was simply the recording of the German sentences without without the English sentences, and I'm not sure what file C was. I might get file B and C wrong, but as far as memory serves me right, file A was the most important file. It had the recording in English and the equivalent translation in German spoken twice, and the pronunciation in German is likely that of a native speaker, and mostly the English sentences have been spoken by Mike, which I believe is in standard American English. So that is what I really liked about this GMS mass sentence method. I was able to purchase the German product for GMS. I don't believe I purchased any other language, and unfortunately now that product has been discontinued. There are other products sold on the Glossika website. However, I cannot vouch for any of them as I've not used them. What I am using right now is the product that I purchased for German, I believe way back in 2017. I produced the GMS method, and that's what I'm using to improve my German right now. And I believe those who've used it have said it brings great results. However, there is a word of caution for those who are aspiring to learn a language using the principles of the GMS method. This method is a very left brain intensive method. For those of you who don't know what the left brain right brain is, you can Google it. Basically, left brain deals with the domain of information purely, so to speak, and in a certain rote fashion, if you might. So if you cannot tolerate monotony, if you cannot tolerate repetition, this product simply is not for you. Now, I do not encourage anyone to find any pirated versions of this product, but I'm giving you the principle in this product. The principle of this product was to listen to a recording of a sentence in your native language and then try and attempt the translation of that and see if you got that right. So if you cannot buy that product now, what you can do is you can write sentences in English along with their equivalent translation. Make sure you get the translation checked from a native speaker before you consider that to be the right translation. So you write down your sentence and you write down the translation, and in the audio recording you record your sentence in your native language and you leave a pause for the translation, and in that pause you guess the correct translation, and if you get that right, voila, bravo, move on to the next sentence. If you don't, keep repeating till you get it right. I found this product to be brilliant but exhausting, and that's the reason I've been using this product on and off, on and off. Now the idea is to listen to all 3000 sentences and then start from scratch, that is sentence 1 to 50, and get everything right. Mike first recommended that I listen to all the sentences and then start from the beginning to see how many sentences I got right and how many I got wrong. So that is what I'm going to use to acquire German, along with other resources such as YouTube for sure, and let's see how it goes. I believe it's a brilliant product. Unfortunately, it's no longer available on the market, but you can check the Glossika website for their latest products. I believe they're quite good, a bit expensive, but definitely worth the money. So that was my take on Mike Campbell's GMS, or Glossika's GMS method. It's no longer available, but still the principles enshrined in that product are just as relevant. And although you can't purchase the product, what you can do is you can start making your own sentences and recordings to get good at the language you're trying to acquire. I hope this video was useful, and if possible I'll put a link to the Glossika website in the description so that you can go there and check out the products they sell. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you had a great day.